The baby wasn't his, and she knew it the whole time. Whose side are you on, Landon or Savannah? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to follow for more true stories of heartbreak, betrayal, and redemption. Landon Harper had already walked down the aisle twice before he ever laid eyes on Savannah Blake. Both marriages fizzled out in under a year. No screaming matches, no dramatic exits. Just a quiet drift, then gone. Each wife eventually found someone with more flash, packed her things, and ghosted like he was never part of the picture. Thing is, Landon wasn't some loser to pity. He was tall, handsome in a rugged blue-collar way, and smart enough to hold his own in any conversation. But while the world raced ahead with digital startups and remote gigs in Bali, Landon stayed put, punching the same time clock his parents had once used at the old Meadowridge Steelworks. It was reliable work, the kind you could retire from. But it wasn't glamorous. Not even close. The day he first spotted Savannah, she was sitting in the clinic lobby, scrolling on her phone. Petite, honey blonde, wearing baby blue scrubs that hung loose on her tiny frame. Something about her stopped him cold. Like gravity just shifted. He fell for her so hard he might have left a dent in the linoleum. Savannah had been a nurse since graduating from community college. She was efficient, ambitious, and, in her mind, destined for more than she currently had. Landon. To her he was sweet, sure, but hopelessly ordinary. A man with calloused hands and factory grit under his fingernails. Definitely not the life upgrade she fantasized about during night shifts. But her mom kept chirping in her ear. Asterisk, sweetheart, when a good man comes along, don't let him pass you by. Asterisk. So, on a rainy Friday afternoon, worn down and a little lonely, Savannah sighed and said yes to one dinner date. A few months later, she accepted Landon's ring. Not because she was wildly in love, but because she was the last single girl in her group chat, and the wedding photos would prove she wasn't the leftover. The ring came with stability, devotion, and someone to build IKEA furniture without swearing. Years passed. Then came the pregnancy. Their first child. Savannah went on maternity leave. The finances tightened fast. Baby formula, diapers, hospital bills. It added up quicker than she imagined. Landon's paychecks were dependable but never enough to stretch without strain. He refused to leave the plant. It was his legacy, his routine. He didn't get why she was always anxious about money. That quiet stress became a crack in their marriage, and it only got wider. The second pregnancy. That one wasn't part of the plan. Not even close. It blindsided Savannah so hard she locked herself in a supply closet at the private clinic where she'd recently started working and cried until her legs went numb. Losing that job would have wrecked her. But the truth that really tore at her was even worse. This baby wasn't Landon's. It belonged to Dr. Miles Carter, the charming neurologist every nurse gossiped about. Married, of course. 2 adorable kids, a wife who brought him homemade lunches, and a smile that could melt concrete. Savannah had never planned on falling for him, but he made it easy. Whispered compliments, gentle touches, locked office doors. He gave her crisp envelopes with cash and never asked questions. Just smiled and pulled her onto his desk. At home, Landon would greet her with gentle kisses and scoop up their son to build Lego castles on the floor. Meanwhile, Savannah's world split into 2 lives, one grounded in honest love, the other crackling with electric secrecy. And if the guilt crept in, she drowned it in rationalizations. Then came the moment she couldn't avoid. Miles straightened his shirt after one of their stolen afternoons and casually asked, "So, when were you planning to tell me you're pregnant?" Savannah blinked, speechless. He smirked, half joke, half dare. "Is it mine? Or your husband's?" She tried to dodge the question, but he didn't let her. His tone sharpened. If the child was his, he wasn't leaving his wife. Period. But he would make sure she kept her job. He'd handle things. No emotion. Just control. That night, she finally told Landon the happy news. He beamed, hugged her, called his parents. Never once asked why it took her so long to realize she was pregnant. She lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling fan, her stomach twisting with dread. She knew the truth had a shelf life. Once the baby arrived, everything would unravel. Did. Even as her belly swelled, Miles kept sneaking her hush money. Nurses began whispering, noticing how often she vanished into his office. Still, she clung to the fantasy of keeping it all stitched together. Then late one night her water broke. As soon as the attending physician wheeled her into delivery, she whispered one quiet request. "I need a paternity test. No questions." He glanced at her wedding ring, raised an eyebrow, but nodded. When they placed the baby girl on her chest, Savannah took one look at the sharp nose, dark lashes and olive-toned skin, and shattered. She sobbed so hard the nurses thought something was medically wrong. But it was the weight of every lie crashing down at once. Test came back fast. Landon wasn't the father. But he didn't know that yet. In the hospital room, he wept joyful tears, texting family, thanking Savannah for a daughter. She wanted to disappear. He noticed the baby's skin tone, sure, but brushed it off. "Newborns come in all shades," he said with a chuckle. At home though, when he unwrapped the pink blanket and saw a baby girl with thick, dark hair and bold brows that looked nothing like either family line, something went cold in his chest. Savannah's silence said it all. Her eyes were swollen. Her voice cracked. She confessed everything. The affair. The deception. Test. Landon didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just left. Disappeared for the night. Returned the next evening with divorce papers and set them quietly on the kitchen table. He didn't demand much. Just one thing, their son would stay with him. Savannah didn't argue. She didn't have the strength, the money, or the credibility. As for Miles, he ghosted. No surprise there. He never intended to be a father again, especially not with her. Occasionally, he Venmo'd her a few $100. Enough for a couple of pediatric visits. That was it. Savannah moved back into her mother's cramped condo. Her mom wasn't happy but wouldn't kick her or the baby out. And now, Savannah's life was a far cry from the polished, filtered dream she once chased. She lost her marriage, her job security, her image, and worst of all, Landon. He had moved on with quiet dignity, raising their son with steady love, while Savannah watched everything crumble in the rearview. All because she thought ordinary wasn't good enough.